MLB's documentary that came out on Sunday on Father's Day, King Griffey Jr.
Yep.
And I think they kind of planned it, especially because the first part talked about when he played with his dad, which was great, but it was a very good documentary. Like especially us growing up in the 90s, like this was the guy we idolized, the swing.
Yeah, best swing I've ever seen. And as a lefty, I mean, there's no swing better than Griffey's. Yeah, absolutely not.
It comes from, baseball players, Styles and Grace. Everyone grew up, especially the players nowadays, watching this guy. And
yeah, man, the kid had the backwards hat. He had, had the best swing you could ever see. Big smile. Loved the game.
Definitely. So, the 90-minute film starts as early as, his dad playing for the Reds when they won the world champions. But then he started becoming better and better. And high school, the next scouts started coming. And then towards the end of the season, they said there wasn't many scouts because they knew he wouldn't go past third pick. And
why scout him when you know he's a beast?
Like, okay, we don't have a chance. And if anyone's seen this guy, because he's a 5-tool player, and God, was he one. So, just talks about how Seattle got lucky with the first pick. They took him, and they were talking about 4 to 5 years, we'll see him in Major League. Well, of course, he tore up minor league in 2 years, and then they invited him to spring training just to see how he did, and almost hit 400 at spring training. So they're like, we have to start him.
Yeah, you had to, especially since his dad was on the squad already of that team, right?
No, he was still not there. His second year is later in the year they traded for his dad.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's a crazy cool story, especially when they hit back-to-back jacks.
Yeah, they first talk about how they got singles and the part where this is a funny story. I love when we get these little stories. This is what missing with the last week we talked about the documentary with the Long Gone Summer. Yeah, was his they asked his dad you don't want to talk about that. He's like, you don't want to tell me how I grounded him. So there was a fly ball. They told him they played outfield together. He's like, look, I got 3 feet of area and the rest is yours. Well, he clearly called it. Junior came over and snagged the ball from him, and he got scared, didn't know where the ball was, and walked on the field and was like, give me your keys, you're grounded.
That's funny.
So then, of course, the memorable, they're the first ever, then the back-to-back home runs, and it was great. And then it says, LeBron James was one of the people that talked about it, and it was exciting because, he's the first baseball player to have a signature shoe. He had the Griffeys. Everyone had them. But LeBron James said it makes the game of baseball cool. So LeBron, he said, being a high school phenomenon drafted first overall in his sports, perhaps the signature moment, Griffey came in 95 in the American Division Series against the Yankees. And another thing what came from that was that whole series talk about is his hatred for the Yankees.
Okay.
And it came back to actually something that's kind of nowadays is racism.
Yeah.
So when he was, I think it was because Dad played towards the end of his career. So I'm pretty sure Junior was a senior in high school around then. Because I think he said it was 85, 86. But they're like, oh, Steinberg don't want no one in the dugout. And his dad's like, he's my son. He's like, yeah, Steinberg wants no one. He's like, oh, okay. And he told Junior before you go to the clubhouse, he's like, just go look at third base. And it was other white players' son playing ground balls in third base.
That's crazy.
So they had a little clip bit in there. They had, signing autographs at Yankee Stadium. Come on, come to the Yankees. No. He's like, if they're the last team to offer me a contract, I'd rather retire.
Wow. So, yeah, definitely some hatred towards the Yankees. And I get it, man. That's pretty bad.
And then it goes in he's the one that wanted the trade with the Reds because he wanted to be home. He was, his kids start going to school. He's like, I want to be around them. That's something that he didn't have with his dad. Towards part of the year, he wanted to be closer to home, so that's where the trade happened. And unfortunately, his style of play in Seattle, the run and gun, lay it all out, probably finally caught up to him in the Reds with, of course, the injuries.
Yeah.
But the good thing, it came around where he re-signed with the Mariners his last season, and, kind of he's happy. And then overall, you can't complain about the guy. 13 All-Stars, 10 Gold Gloves. What was it, 630 home runs? Exactly. Who knows what could have been? Because I was telling you, I couldn't believe, I totally forgot the strike season. He had 40 home runs going into the strike, and it was August.
Yeah.
He could have been the first one to break Babe Ruth's record. I mean, not Mantle's record, but we never know. Not Mantle, but Roger Maris.
Right.
But, the biggest thing at the very end, they talked about during Hall of Fame because they showed some of his speech and stuff, how he got emotional, but a lot of people were like, who were the 3 people that didn't vote for him during the Hall of Fame? Remember, he fought 3 votes shy to being the first unanimous player.
Yeah.
And we're like, who was the 3? And then they're like, most likely it was probably Yankees.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, they're so salty.
And then he said at the very end, he said the quote, he said, I didn't do it because of the money. I didn't do it for the fame. I did it because I love baseball.
And you can tell. I mean, when you see Griffey on the field, I mean, he's all out, fast as lightning, can hit the ball a mile.
Yeah,
He loved the game.
He pretty much saved baseball after the strike. His swag, people more, brought it. So I think that's why some people look to Trout nowadays. Like, this is your job now. And Trout is not like Griffey as in the light, I would say.
Yeah, he's humble, I believe.
Like, yeah, he'd be the guy that you want your daughter to marry, definitely. But he's not that outspoken, the guy like Trevor Bauer is definitely outspoken. But Trout is Trout. He's he does have that role model, but Griffey was something special.
Well, when you say outspoken and a great ball player, what would you think about Bryce Harper? He's outspoken. He's out there.
Right there with you. The
kids like his swag.
Yeah. And that's what the whole thing with Let the Kids Play a couple years ago. I love when Griffey walked into that commercial, like, let the kids play. Like, it was perfect because that's what baseball needs nowadays. And then it's sad that not more of it's being shown because, we talked about before with social media and whatnot with baseball. But definitely something that it can be approved, and Griffey definitely set the bar very high.
Okay. All right. You got anything else to touch on that, or?
Not really. It was a very great documentary. MLB don't have it really. If you got to watch, if you haven't watched it, Sling. If you have Sling app, that's how I watched it.
All right. Well, yeah. If you haven't checked it out, check out Junior. Alan says it's a pretty good documentary. I haven't got a chance to watch it. It just came out this week.